But me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the command post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your commander-in-chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. A couple of tidbits I wanted to bring to your doorstep, and you can do with it whatever you please, right? So the first item that we're going to tackle, and both items really came from John Keim, or at least John Keim made me aware of one of the situations, and then the other one was straight off of his podcast. So John Keim released an interview that he had did with Ron Rivera. And this had to be back during, mini camp. And he just decided to post it on his podcast. And it was an interview with Ron. And, the first thing that Ron said that stuck out to me was one of the first things that he said during this interview, which was Eric Bieniemy liked Sam Howell from the jump, from the very beginning. It was one of the first things he said to him when they met for the first time, talking about that offensive coordinator position that was available. And he said, look, man, I really like this kid. And remember, Eric Bieniemy talked about liking Sam Howell when they met and they dapped up at his introductory press conference. He said, man, we liked you a lot in Kansas City, and he pretty much, he didn't actually say that. He insinuated that he knew a lot about Sam Howell based off of the work that they had done when he was in Kansas City, scouting him for the NFL. And so him saying that to Ron, like right away, that's music to all of our ears. And I'm not here to convince anybody that Sam's going to be the starting quarterback of this team, because you guys already know. I fully expect that. And anything other than that would be a tremendous surprise, and I would be at an absolute loss. Okay, this is Sam Howell's job, unequivocally, in the 2023 season. And so it's just further proof, however, that Sam is not only the guy, but they really think he has a chance to be special. And Ron went on to talk about some of the things that EB said he liked in Sam, and then, even went as far as to talk about some of the things that Sam has done, during the off-season period to grow as a quarterback and to help him make this transition from, third-string rookie last year to second-year, first-year starter in year 2 of his career. So, all of the things that we've heard Ron say before, he said it on the podcast for the most part. But I thought the thing that stuck out that was the most interesting from a Sam Howell perspective is that EB loved him from the jump. And that's what you want to hear. Because oftentimes you'll hear coaches say, oh, yeah, I can work with this guy. And then they get there and that's not. Like Dwayne Haskins is a great example of Ron Rivera taking the job, probably telling Daniel Snyder, yeah, I really like what I saw out of Dwayne Haskins. I thought he did some really good things at the end of the 19 season, man. I think this guy has a chance. And then he gets here and he's like, okay, yeah, he stinks. I'm going to give him a shot because I told the owner I would, but I've got all my guys lined up for in the event when he fails. We're going to be ready to make the transition away from him. Same thing Jay Gruden did with Robert Griffin III, right? Oh, yeah, I can fix him. This guy can play. He's got all the tools. Yeah, he gets here. He gives him a shot because you told the owner you would, but eventually you're going to get away from the guy that can't play or can't do it at a high enough level and get to the guy that you think can. I think they feel like Sam is that guy, and I think all of it is sincere and legitimate, and we'll see what happens. But part of the reason, I only bring it up because part of the reason EB took this job in particular is because of Sam Howell's presence. A lot of times you're going to take a job based off of the quarterback playing, specifically on the offensive side of the football, but it doesn't really matter. If you're a defensive-minded guy, you need your quarterback to be really good. You can't run away from the quarterback position. If that position isn't taken care of, if that position doesn't have a guy that you believe in, that you trust in, then the rate of success is going to be extremely low. All right, the probability that you succeed is going to be extremely low if you don't have a quarterback in that position that you truly trust and believe in, and they believe in Sam Howell. So that's further evidence of that. Something else Ron said that someone brought up to me, my guy Ethan brought this up to me, and I thought it was a great point. Ron said in this interview he did with John Keim, probably about 15 to 20 minutes. To give it a listen if you got some time. He talked about how Eric Bieniemy has taken a lot of the stress of practice off his plate, having to correct players, having to be extremely vocal. We all have heard countless stories this offseason, and even before he got here, about how loud and aggressive Eric Bieniemy can be with the players and how he's going to hold guys accountable. And so a lot of John Keim's interview, centered around, EB's voice and how loud he is, but talking about having purpose behind the things that he's saying and not just yelling to be yelling. In saying that, Ron is like, man, he's taken so much off my plate. Like, I can just be the head coach. I can oversee everything and not have to feel like I need to put my hands on every single thing, specifically the offense. Remember, Ron Rivera is a defensive guy. He would really prefer to kind of just leave the offense, on someone else's plate and just kind of focus in on the rest of the team, special teams, defense, and kind of just oversee the entire program and not be so hands-on. And, it just kind of goes to show you that the last iteration of the staff wasn't conducive to success, and it put a lot more strain on Ron Rivera as a head coach. And I think he feels like now he's delegated to the point where he feels a lot better about where he is. And like I said, this is a make or break year for Ron, but I feel like he's in good spirits, man. I feel like he's in a really good spot. It's almost as if he's like, yo, what do I got to lose, right? If I get fired, I get fired. It is what it is at this point. But it feels like Ron's going out here and he's got a different approach to the season. And part of that is because of EB's presence. But the main reason I brought you here, and something else John brought up, and I've been telling you guys this, but sometimes you got to hear something from somebody else to believe it, because when I tell you, it's just me talking. Somebody else says it, oh, man, Louie T did say that. So I told you that the likelihood is if we're successful, EB's gone. They're hoping that so he said his name is Tavita. I think that's what he said. Or no, it wasn't. It wasn't anything. It was, I can't remember how John said it. It's not Tavita. We've Americanized his name. Okay, his name is not Tavita. I think it's Tavita or something like that. I got to go back and listen to how he said it because I want to get the man's name right. If that's how he pronounces his name, that's how I need to pronounce his name. But we'll just call him Pritchard for now. That's the quarterback's coach. That's the guy that they have in mind for the OC position. Should Eric Bieniemy knock it out the park and get a head coaching job next year, I think that's the guy they're trying to groom. That's why I said it would be so advantageous if we could keep EB for 2 years. Keep him here 2 years. If Ron's not going anywhere, I know a lot of y'all just want EB to take over as the head coach. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not ruling it out. Anything can happen. But I think the more likely scenario is the same thing that happened with Sean McVay, which is you got this offensive coordinator that you think is destined to be a head coach. You have a coach that finds a way to win, save his job, and in the process, you lose that offensive coordinator that you wanted to hold on to. You're hoping, unlike that situation, that the next guy that steps up is going to be able to keep whatever bottle, lightning in a bottle or magic, that we may capture in 2023, keep that going and continue to have the offense playing at a very high level. They're hoping Tavita Pritchard can step up in that role, right? But we'll see, because 1 year it may not be enough for a lot of the things that they end up doing this upcoming year, and all of the things that EB may bring to the table because he's been a coordinator for such a long time. You may not have all that rub off in just 1 year. So we'll see what happens. But the main reason I brought you here today was because John Keim had posted a tweet about an article written on ESPN Plus by Jeremy Fowler, in which he did a survey, essentially polling GMs, coaches, executives, asking the question, who is the NFL's best edge rushers? So you're looking for maybe a list of 5 guys that they might throw out, and Montez Sweat nor Chase Young received a vote. That's the headline if you're a Washington Commanders fan, which I've talked about the amount of disrespect that we receive. It's daily, etc., etc. This is not one of those situations, okay? This is not disrespect. They shouldn't be on this list of best defensive ends in the NFL. But it speaks to a much larger point, which I'm looking to make, which I made last week, to which some of you did not agree. So I just want to kind of bring that point back up, double down on what I said on Thursday. And I think John Keim is kind of piggybacking off of what I said. So I'll read the tweet to you real quick. In this ESPN Plus piece by Jeremy Fowler, neither Montez Sweat nor Chase Young received a vote. For this D to elevate, one has to have the kind of year that earns votes. Who are the NFL's best edge rushers? Executives, coaches, and scouts help rank the 2023's top 10. So again, I said something similar on Thursday night where I said, look, this defense has to step up. And I know they've been really solid 2 out of the past 3 years. And a lot of you, I think, rate them a little bit higher than what they really truly are. But at the end of the day, if we want to take the next step as a football team, yes, the offense. We already know this. This is baked in to the conversation. The offense has to be better. It's been pathetic the last 3 years. So nobody's debating that. But separate, independent of the offense, the defense still has a job to do. And if you want to be an elite group, which this defense wants to be known as an elite defense, they are not even close to me to being an elite defense. They're a good defense. They're not even a great unit right now. They're a really good, solid unit. All right. However, if you want to take that next step, we need more impact plays to be made by this defense. And the position that can probably make the biggest jump and leap, defensive end, right? Is anybody really not agreeing with that? I mean, the secondary could take a massive leap, adding the players that we added this offseason. We really think it's a talented group back there. That's great. But if you can't get to the quarterback and the quarterback has all day to throw, those guys in the secondary aren't going to stand a chance. Period. End of discussion. Pass rush and play in the secondary kind of go hand in hand. So, Keim goes on to say, adding to the tweet that he posted, both are clearly capable, talking of Sweat and Young, but this D takes a big step if one or both makes game-changing plays. Again, both capable of doing so. I couldn't agree more. It's what I said on Thursday where I talked about challenging this defense. We need more turnovers. We need more forced fumbles. We need more big-time plays. I talked about the sack number. I said it's not enough. We need more of those types of plays from our defense, specifically our ends. Our interior defensive line was fantastic last year. And that was with the injuries to Fedarian Mathis, with John Ridgeway just coming over last year, right? They were fantastic inside between Sweat, Payne, Ridgeway, and not even having Fedarian Mathis. I think that group's going to be even more dangerous this year. The ends are where we need to see this incremental jump, right? We need to see something more from Montez Sweat this year. Like, I love that Sweat has been super consistent throughout his career, but I'm looking for that breakthrough season this year. He's up for a contract. This is the year it needs to happen. We definitely are looking for something from Chase Young. We haven't seen a sack from this man in over a year and a half. So, of course, we're looking for big things from Chase Young. They did not pick up his fifth-year option. This is essentially a contract year for him, so we're looking for big things from him. KJ Henry, a guy we spent the 5th-round pick on, we're hoping he can come in, give us some quality snaps off the bench. We want to continue to see growth out of guys like James Smith-Williams and, F.A. Obata if he makes the roster. And so I'm expecting a big leap from the defense if guys make impact plays, and I think it starts with these defensive ends. I think it starts up front, right? So I got this comment here from Billy A, my guy Billy A. Shout out to Billy A. He says, this is from the video Thursday night when we were live and we were talking about the defense. And the title of the video was, it's time for the defense to step up, right? Essentially take that next step. He says, no, it's not. It's time for the offense to step up. They've been bottom 5 in the league in every important statistical category. Defense been top 10 twice. Let's chill on the defense. No, see, to me, that's a loser's mentality. And not necessarily calling Billy a loser. I just think that's a loser's mentality. That's like saying, oh, our defensive line is really good. We don't need to add any pieces to it. It's a good defensive line. No, let's make it great. You know why teams are really good in the league? They don't just settle for the fact that one of their positions is stout and they don't add to it. Like, there's certain positions you're not going to keep adding to it if you already have guys that are exceptional, because you can't play but so many guys at that position. Quarterback and tackle are two of the positions that you look at and you say, bro, if I got an all-pro quarterback, I'm not going to draft a quarterback in the first, second, third round. Like, you know, maybe fourth or fifth round, I might draft a quarterback to back up my all-pro quarterback. I'm not going to draft a tackle in the first, second, third round if I already got two bookend tackles that are playing exceptionally well. You can only play two tackles at once. You're not going to look to add at that position. But everywhere else in the football field, you can't have enough depth. You can't have enough corners. You can't have enough defensive linemen. You can't have enough interior offensive linemen in particular. You can't have enough linebackers. You can't have enough of anything, essentially, except for those positions that I've named already. To me, the defense needs to take it another step, another notch up. They were really good. We already understand the offense needs to play better. But in the event that they don't, and they play just like they did last year, if the defense plays a notch better, we won 8 games with the offense being, as you just said, bottom 5 in every statistical category, important statistical category. I don't think that's true, by the way, but I understand what you're saying. They sucked, and they have for the last 3 years. With that said, you still won 8 games. And the year before that, you still won 7 games. And the year before that, you won 7 games. So even with the offense sucking the way that it has, you still managed to win 7, 7, and 8 games. Turn the defense up another notch. Get the exact same offensive production, and you're a 10-win team. Okay? And this is assuming that and this is just stating that if the offense doesn't move the needle at all, we're assuming that the offense is going to move the needle. Okay? Defense still needs to take it up a notch. You know how the Giants remained relevant all those years when they beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl twice in a 4-year span in 07 and 11? They kept adding defensive linemen, right? They didn't stop. They had Strahan, so what? Let's add Justin Tuck. They had Justin Tuck. They had Strahan. I don't care. Let's add Matthias Kiwanuka. We got O.C. Umenyor. We don't give a shit. We're going to keep adding defensive linemen. You know why? Because that's a strength, and we're going to make it stronger. There's nothing wrong with taking a strength and making it stronger. So I don't think we need to talk about the offense. We've already beat that horse dead. The offense needs to step up. The offense can't really go any lower than it is. We expect them to be better. That's an expectation. We're assuming without even talking about it, the offense is going to be better because it can't be much worse. We didn't even average 19 points a game last year. Okay? So we've already established that. Defensively, we can be better. And too many people are comfortable with where the defense is. I'm not. Because, again, our defense was nothing special last year. And a lot of times we got away with shit. I talked about the Jags game week 1. If the Jags don't self-destruct, we lose that game and they score 40. Our defense was not good that day. The Colts, if they don't self-destruct, our defense was not good that day. We just forced turnovers at opportune times. They dropped the ball on the final possession of the game, or else they'd probably get in position for the game-winning field goal. This was all done with Sam Ehlinger at quarterback. His first career NFL start, I may add. Okay? Let's not make it seem like this defense was chock full of world beaters. We were doing just enough defensively to end up being a quality NFL defense. But there were times where we needed this defense. Minnesota, Giants game second time around, where we needed this defense to step up, and they did not do it in crucial situations. So please miss me. In the Cleveland game, again, defense did not step up. Miss me with the elite defense talk. Miss me with, oh, lay off the defense. Hell no, I'm not laying off the defense. I said this on Thursday. I'm doubling down. All gas, no brakes for this defense this year. I want this defense to turn it up a notch. And like John Keim said, you want to do that, the defensive ends to me are the pathway to that getting done. Because we're getting it from the D tackles already. The secondary was really solid last year. Kendall Fuller in his play, Defoe in his play. You added to a secondary. Juice stepped up last year when he was healthy. You added to that secondary. I think it's going to take another step forward. I've already used the linebacker position as it's like just a barrier between the two, defensive line and the secondary. Like it's almost imaginary. It doesn't even exist. They've minimized the role of the linebacker position in this defense so much so that I'm not even worried about linebacker anymore. I don't even talk about, man, we don't have any linebackers. F that. All right. Where it's at is the defensive line in the trenches and in the secondary. And if those two can play at a high level, we got a chance to be special. And it starts up front on the defensive line, specifically with those ends taking that next step. I believe that to be the case. John Keim is absolutely right. So I'm doubling down on this defense needing to be better. What says you? Leave it down in the comment section. I think this defense needs to be better for us to take that next step. And I think this is a golden opportunity. Both of these dudes looking to get paid. They share an agent. They're probably best of friends on this team. Tez and Chase Young are. How about you both of y'all ball out in the same year and get your bread, even if one of them is getting it somewhere else? It'd be great if one of them did it. If both of them do it, this defense has a chance to be unstoppable. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on this installment of the Command Post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I'll see you guys on Thursday night for the Command Post Live, unless something else comes up that tickles my fancy. Until then, you guys have a good one. Take care.
LouieTeeNetwork.